I'm here with Jon St. John here at
Hi.
the Newest Gaming Classic, voice
Hey.
actor of Duke Nukem and many other games. Have you had much of a chance to explore this convention today? Looks like, I mean, we've been hanging out since yesterday, and
Yeah.
you saw quite a few pinball machines and been checking random crap out.
I got to tell you, that Iron Maiden game,
Yeah.
sweet. The action on that, well, they're all brand new, too.
Yeah.
But has the technology in the way they build these games, the actuators and stuff, is it modern, more advanced? Has it changed over the old school games? Because they're so fast.
Yeah, it kind of felt like that too. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, I've played quite a few old pinball machines myself, whether I'm at different beercades or other arcades and stuff like that.
Right.
And playing that, yeah, it did seem a little. And the ones that I thought were weird were those digital pinball machines they had. Like the Star Wars one, I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't seem that authentic to me, man. I don't know if I can enjoy that.
Yeah, like the Family Guy video pinball I was playing was a lot of fun, but I kept trying to tilt, and it wouldn't tilt.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was banging the hell out of that cabinet.
All right. So aside from the convention, let's talk a little bit about you, though.
Oh, about me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that. No, I'm
Okay.
very good at talking about
before
me.
you got into voice acting stuff like that, where did you really start everything? Because I know you did radio for a while, but
Yeah,
did you go
yeah.
to school or anything before that?
No, I started as a radio DJ at the age of 14.
Oh wow.
I was in junior high school in
Yeah.
a small town in North Carolina on the eastern coast, Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I just, well, here's how it happened. Is in 1975, George Carlin, the late comedian George Carlin,
yeah,
had
my
an album called FM and AM.
Yeah.
And he did Wonderful Wino Radio, and I used to do my impression of that at school. And all the kids at school said, God, you sound just like the DJs on the radio. You should be on the radio. And so one Saturday afternoon, I got a wild hair up my ass, and I asked my dad if he'd drive me down to the local radio station. He agreed.
Yeah.
I went in. I met the program director who was on the air at the time, who went by the name of Jimi Hendrix. Go figure. And he said, what can I do for you, young man? I said, I want to be a DJ. And so he showed me down to the basement production studio they had.
Yeah.
And it had, two old school turntables, a box full of 45s,
Oh, wow.
a reel-to-reel deck, and an old rotary console. You know, the old mixers that
Yeah.
had big
I know
twisty
exactly
knobs?
What you're talking about.
He said, so just talk up a couple of records,
Yeah.
and I'll listen to the tape when I get off the air. So I played in that room for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
He came back and listened to the tape of me talking up Barry Manilow and ABBA records. Right? Do you even know those artists?
No, yeah, Barry Manilow.
And
Yeah.
ABBA? And,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
heard-
okay, so anyway.
My dad collects all sorts of music, and there's stuff
Okay.
that I probably like and don't like, but it's whatever. It's part of our family collection now, so
Gotcha.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I talked them up, and, I never stepped on the vocals.
Yeah.
I was very good at a young age at talking up the song until right when the vocals started. And he was so impressed by this that he hired me on the spot.
Yeah.
And I started doing weekend nighttime shifts at
Yeah.
14 years old. And so all the kids knew me. And then my radio career really kicked into high gear when I moved to Norfolk, Virginia with my family. I'm a military brat.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
And so we moved to Norfolk, Virginia. It was my dream to be on WGH because that was the big radio station to me.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I got the afternoon drive job there within a year after moving to Virginia. So it was like my dream job.
Yeah.
And from there, I did, 35, almost 40 years of radio broadcasting
And then-
before I finally got out and started doing just voice acting.
Yeah, because I was going to say, now, how did all that lead you into the voice acting business? Like, who found you and discovered you for that?
Lonnie Manella, the casting director for so many games. And matter of fact, I should pimp her site because
Yeah.
I owe my career today really to Lonnie Manella. She's Audio Gods with a Z,
Okay.
audiogods.com. If you go to her site, you'll see she has more video game credits than anybody in the world.
Okay.
I mean, Steve Bloom is in a ton of games.
Yeah.
Lonnie is involved in more games than anybody I've ever seen and one of the most talented voice actors I've ever known. But she was in my studio to record an auto dealership commercial.
Yeah.
And while we were mic checking, she was doing silly voices, and I started doing silly voices. And she said, wow, your range is great.
Yeah.
Would you like to voice act in video games? And this was 1995. I'm like,
Right.
what? And so she brought Duke Nukem 3D to me and had me audition. I landed it, and from there, boom.
And that was the first game you did voice acting
First
in.
game, yeah.
And what was that process like? Like, did you guys, did someone give you an idea of what they wanted you to do and you just went with it? Or did you have ideas you brought to the table as well?
Well, George Broussard, one of the creators and the original owner of Duke Nukem, had Charles Bronson in mind.
Okay.
Charles Bronson
Yeah.
kind of sounded like this.
And Lonnie said, no, I don't think that's the right voice. Something more akin to Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
And so I did that line, so you got to ask yourself, do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Yeah.
And George went, I like that tone, but Duke is a big roided out, I went, oh, I'll just drop the pitch. So do you feel lucky, punk? And That's all it took. I said just that line, and he was like, "That's the voice.
Yeah.
That's going to be the voice of Duke Nukem."
Oh, yeah.
And the beauty of having done Duke Nukem 3D and all the developers today, they grew up playing that game.
Yeah.
So they often will hire me just because they're fanboys,
Yeah.
not because I'm right for the part. But like Valve,
Yeah.
they would fly me up to Seattle to record their stuff just because they were fanboys who grew
Yeah.
up playing Duke. So I had kind of an unfair advantage over other voice actors.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And then, so before, because you also did Big the Cat.
Right,
Before you did Big the Cat, was there any other characters you were doing voiceovers for that kind of got picked up and popular?
Yeah, King Varian Wren. I was
Okay.
the original Varian Wren in World of Warcraft. The Twisted Metal 4 game, I was
really?
all of the characters,
Oh, that's
including the
awesome. I didn't even know.
Oh, have you played that game?
I've played lots of those games. I didn't even know you did the voice in part.
Oh, I
four
was
of them.
Rob Zombie, and I was Trash Man, and I was Ralph Jones, and I was, the Sweet Tooth spokesperson clown who does all the narration at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that was just me doing an impression of the Tales from the Crypt guy.
Yeah, the Crypt
Greetings, boys and
Yeah.
ghoulies. You know that voice.
Exactly.
And that one was so vocally stressful that my voice was like this for 3 days after recording it, and I couldn't do any other work.
Right.
And it's because of things like that every time auditions come in from our agents for all of us voice actors,
Yeah.
there's always a disclaimer that says, this work may require vocally stressful work. They have
Yeah.
to do that disclaimer because sometimes you do blow your voice out and you can't
yeah.
work for 3
Absolutely.
days. Yeah.
That's crazy. So out of all the voices you've done too, is there one that's like particularly like your favorite one you've worked on?
Definitely Duke, because it's the easiest voice for me to do. It
Yeah.
just comes natural. It just comes out. There's no effort to it at all. I could talk like that for the rest of my life and never blow my voice out.
That's cool. And then is there any other voice acting jobs you got lined up coming up in the future?
There
Anything that you
are.
could talk about?
But I've signed NDAs. So,
Right.
I can talk about one. This is the Police. We're going to do This is the Police 2.
Okay.
Which is the update to, and I play the lead role, which is Jack Boyd.
Okay.
He's a police sergeant detective. I can't remember exactly what his role is, but he's been a cop for 30 years, and he's always played. He's always been, straight-laced and done everything by
Yeah.
the letter. But he's about to retire, and so he's ready to make $500,000 in an illegal way. But you, as the player, get to decide what he does. Totally a role-playing game.
That's actually a cool concept.
Yeah.
That sounds really awesome.
It is pretty cool.
Is it
And-
for a certain console or is it PC or?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you,
No, I
but the
definitely
best
wanna
way
keep
to
an eye
find out is This is the Police. Look it up on the Google.
Cool. And I guess before we go, are you all out of bubble gum?
I'm always out of gum. Give me some.
There you go.
Smart ass.
Well, hey, that was me with Jon St. John here at Midwest Gaming Classic. I'm Jason. Hey, it was a pleasure talking.
My pleasure, Jason. Good seeing you again, man.
All right.
You ready
Take
for
care.
tequila now?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go drink.